everybody, welcome back to the Metal Scrapper channel. Today we'll do a sandcast. My younger son, who has helped with the last two videos, wanted to have a sandcast, and I also want to bring my skills of molding something up a little bit better again, because in the future I will make some awesome sandcasts again. This will be a open sandcast, so not too difficult. We'll fill this up with sand. We got a dog, a skull, and for some of you this might seem familiar. You can check it in the summer series. I'll link it here. In the summer series I make one in brass. This is a whole new mold. Got a mermaid and an elephant. So we'll put it in the casting sand. Have to mix this up with some water because it's sand with some clay inside. So yeah, we have to get the clay active. And I think we will make them from aluminium. In the last video you could see I made these two big ingots. And I think this ingot will fit in the crucible. I still only have my small furnace running for now. So I think this might fit. So we have to get to the safe to get some other bigger ingots. And we're going to melt these and cast some shapes. So sit back and enjoy the video. Okay, so what I just did is, as you could see from the previous cast, well over a year ago, there was a lot of big lumps. So I first make it soft sand again. Like I said, there is clay inside, so we can add some water and reactivate it. You can see this is pretty soft sand, especially made for metal casting. Can bring up some great details. But if I compress it, you can see this will not hold anything because it's bone dry. This has been sitting for over a year right now. So what I always do first is smash up the bigger lumps into smaller lumps. Then we add some water and mix it. And we have some ready to go molding sand. Of course, this is the second time I put some water inside. You can already see the consistency of the sand is changing. And you can check if it's good to go. Make a small lump. It has to break clean, but this is a little bit too dry. So we'll add some more water and check it every time I add some water and mix it in. I'll going to check it from now on. Right, so that was the third time we added some water. You can already see it form some lumps, even without getting any pressure on it. And I also get a more explainable video on how to prepare casting sand. I'll put it also in the upper right corner of the screen. You can see clearly we have a lump of sand and it breaks really smooth. No sand falling apart. So we're pretty much here. I think I add one extra bit of water because it was over a year ago that there was some water added to this sand. It's really bone dry, and then we're good to go. Alright, so we added water 4 times. You can see when I'm now just moving the sand, you can already see it sticks together. So we're at the right spot where we want it to be. Look, it's not really sticking to my hand. Still a little bit dry stuff. And this breaks clean. So yeah, we're ready to mold it up. Okay, so we made a layout from each shape you want to go to mold up. Always make sure you got some room left along the edges of the molding box, otherwise the heat can burn the wood. If you got a wooden molding box, of course. And in the case of a steel molding box, yeah, you can fuse the metals together, so you don't want that to happen. Also, there must be some separation between the molds, of course. For the next step, we'll be needing some baby powder, good for the baby butts, but also for making molds, and a brush. I'm going to add this talcum powder as a release agent, so we got the best chance of the mold shape separating from the sand. What I also want to do is get some plain talcum powder. This is of course with some nice baby scents, but I want to have just plain talcum powder and have it in a panty or something, so I can just dab it on the stuff I want to mold up. So of course these molds are used to make sand molds on the beach or something. So it's supposed to be releasing sand pretty easy, but I always use some talcum powder. And for these 4 molds, my biggest concerns are this one because it's pretty high. This one has the deep pockets for the eyes and nose, so it's pretty difficult to get it clean and smooth out. So we'll see how they turn out. We got everything covered in a thin layer of talcum powder. Now it's time to have some fine sifted sand on top, and then we're going to compress the sand. So for the next step I will have a sieve. We want the first layer to be sifted sand, so the grain of the sand is as small as possible to get out as much as details as possible. Now for the skull and the elephant and dog there are not so much details, but you can see the mermaid has some more details like a necklace and the scales on her tail. I'm also pretty curious how the working bench I made will hold up. In the old shed I had difficulties molding up. I never succeeded in a normal mold because I was compressing the sand and the old working bench was giving way a little bit, so the underside of the sand would break loose. So when I turning the molding box the other way around, a lot of sand broke loose. I'm pretty curious how this will go. Alright, so we have some fine sifted sand on top. I've got two options right now. I can compress it right now, so I have some fine sifted sand already pressing against the molds, or I will just fill it up with sand and ram it up with a hammer, and it will also compress. What I normally do is push it against the mold.
Say mold again. Say mold again. I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say mold one more goddamn time.
So you have more control over what you're pushing in, especially with this skull. You want to have the eye sockets filled up pretty good. I think I'm not a really experienced molder yet, but I'm still figuring out if I need to have a lot of pressure on the sand or just a firm pressure, not too much. I think a firm pressure should do the job, but yeah, I think it's also dependable on what kind of molding sand you are using. This is some very fine clay binded sand. It has some good sides and maybe some downsides, but good side, of course, you can always reuse it. Just add some water and you're ready to go and mix it up. You also have some stuff called petrobond. It's oil bonded sand. What I have seen, it's really easy to work with, so I might buy some in the future. Alright, so let's fill it up with regular sand and compress it. Now, not regular sand, also molding sand, but not sifted. What do you say? I need a higher step to work, because the working bench is on a proper height to scrap some stuff, but it's a little bit too high to get in this bucket full of sand. I can reach it, but my arms will get tired very quick. And I always try to work as clean as possible, so not too much sand spills outside of the molding box, because everything that's spilled has to be cleaned up again. And if it's on the ground, don't bother getting it back in your molding sand. Better throw it away. So what I do know is the most pressure you have to use is on the edges of the molding box, so the sand will stick inside the molding box. Alright, I'm going to take the hammer and hammer this more packed, and then we'll top it off, scrape it, and we're ready to get the shapes out on the other end. Okay, so the most important step has already been done now by the molding. The sand that is touching the molds compacted pretty well, and what we do with this stuff, it's just the side where it will be standing up when I flip it. I think it's okay if it's a little bit compacted. Normally what I always did before was compacting it as much as the sand beneath, but yeah, why would I do that? It's giving a lot of mess. All the sand is overflowing from the molding box. So I think we're okay. Leveling it out by hand, compressing it a little bit by hand, and scraping it off. And then the most exciting part of this job will come. Flipping over the molding box and get the molds out. And then that's the moment you can see if you did a proper job. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to scrape it off And then we're going to flip the molding box. So far I'm really like to work in the new shed. It seems the working bench is pretty sturdy. And I'm on a good working height right now. Not with the sand filling, of course. It was a little bit too high for me, but cleaning this stuff up, yeah, pretty easy. Good job. Right, we do the rest of the sand later on. We'll flip the molding box. Alright, so I think we managed to mold them up properly. Now we have to get them out. To get them out, the easiest way is to wrap the patterns a little bit. So like doing this. It's the same if you have you're on the beach and you're filling a bucket with sand. Flip it over to make a sand castle or something. And you smash the top of the bucket so the sand will loosen up. You can already see this one moving. And the elephant is the most easy one. It's already pretty loose. Oh no. So I need to pay a little bit of attention. Right, so we're going to remove the elephant first. Right, this one came out perfectly. A little bit of sand fell in, so you can gently blow that away. The second one will be the dog. This one is a little bit tricky with the small edges, but I think this will also come out pretty good. They broke a little bit of sand away from the head of the dog. So I don't want to blow that away, because otherwise there's no much head left for the dog. So this one was a little bit tricky. Now the skull, here we go. Look at this! The eyes came out perfectly. Well, almost perfect. Got a little bit of sand sticking on the eye socket here. This is really amazing. It's the first time I have it like this. Alright, that's a new one. Right, now the last one. The mermaid. Really curious how this will come out because there's a really small ridge here. Right, here we go. Look at this. Only one tiny bit of sand stuck into the mold. Really happy how this came out. And the dog is a little bit, yeah, did not go very well. But the elephant is a go. The skull is a really a go. And the mermaid also really a go. So I can try to pour this. There's a little crack here. But I think that's too small for the aluminium to settle in. So we're going to melt some aluminium and make some awesome casts. So we're ready to melt some metals. I'm planning on melting the smaller ingot, but it's not enough to fill all the molds. So, oops, we're going to have a see if this is a fit. Yeah, this will be a fit. So we're going to get another large ingot from the safe and we're ready to melt some aluminium. Alright, look at this, guys. Finally we're back in the safe. And I think this will be a nice ingot of 1220 grams for the second melt. Alright, let's get back melting. Okay, so we just did the final pour, the second pour. I was lacking a little bit for the mermaid, too bad. So they did not fill completely, but it's a pretty high mold, so I think that's okay. The skull had some bubbling going on, so we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, and we got some ingots. I'll let this solidify. It's still liquid, I think. The sand keeps the warmth inside, so give this a minute or 5 or 10 and then we'll get it out of the mold and quench them and see how they will turn out. Alright, so we're a couple of minutes later. Everything has been solidified. We'll start out with the elephant. It was an elephant, I guess. Pretty curious how that turned out. I think not too bad. It's upside down, not bad. We're going to quench it. Second one was the dog, and the dog came out pretty awesome. Third cast is the skull. This one is still pretty hot. Let's see how this came out. And this came out pretty awesome. There's a lot of sand stuck, so I will get that out first. And the eye sockets are pretty deep, so really awesome. Details on the mouth are great, the nose too. And there was some bubbling going on, and I can see the bubbles formed inside the eye socket, so that's a bummer. Alright, we're going to quench this, but I think the bubbles in the eye sockets gave it some extra dimensions, just like it has some eyes, so pretty awesome. The mermaid, the one with the most detail in it. This came out pretty awesome. Here it is. Some sand still stuck into the cast. And here we go for the quench. I think this will be hot water. I'll be back with some cold water. Alright, back with some cold water. So first out is the skull. And like I said, there was some bubbling going on inside the eye sockets. There's a little bit shrinkage in the nose and did not really fill out like I wanted it to be. But the eyes, I think the eyes give it an extra dimension with some, yeah, they look like real eyeballs. This is the back side, so you can see the bubbling going on. But it came out pretty awesome. Second one is the mermaid. we can see us carrying a seashell and a starfish. So the details on this are pretty awesome. Came out pretty good. So I'm really happy with this one. We're going to weigh them up at the end of the video. We have the dog, which just came out really smooth. Was a pretty simple mold, but yeah, turned out pretty awesome. No air pockets or something. And the last one we made was the elephant. Also pretty good. Some overspill here, so that's too bad. Could grind it away, but I think I'll leave it. So yeah, this was casting some sand shapes again. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If so, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and do not forget to subscribe to see more melting videos. And let me know in the comments what you like to see. Do you like to see them wire brushed, or shall I keep them as they are now? For this video I'll keep them as they are now, but if you want to have them wire brushed in the future, let me know what you like. If you're going to wire brush, the shiny stuff will go away, but it will be more clean. There's some black spots over here that will be brushed away, of course, but all the shiny stuff will go away. So let me know in the comments what do you like. For now I'm just, like I said, I'm going to keep them like this. We'll weigh them up and then we're over to some end shots. And of course we made some ingots. Nothing special, and I'm not planning on stacking aluminium ingots. I got a whole bunch of them, of course, but eventually all those ingots will turn into some sand casts. But look at this, guys. This came out pretty smooth. Really awesome. Of course I will weigh them and stamp these, because those can be mixed with another metal, so I know exactly how much weight there is. But yeah, like I said, I won't keep these for stacking. Right, let's go weigh them up and over to some end shots. Alrighty, we're back with the scales. So let's first weigh up the dog. I think that was, no, the elephant was the very first cast. Scales at 0. So the elephant weighs in at 429 grams. The dog weighs 359 grams. Then the skull, 542 grams for the skull. And I think this one will be the heaviest, the mermaid. 588 grams, so the total melt of today will be 1914 grams. And together with the ingots, there will be 2298 grams. But I will stamp these ones off camera and add them to the stack. Well, not the real stack in the safe, but for now here in the shed. And then we will get over to some end shots. So this was it. Made some sand casts again. Really awesome. We're over to some end shots now. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.